It is the 15th of July 2023. My name is Dorothy. Welcome to Health and Wellness. It is exactly 8 p.m. and here at Bethany TV we welcome you all. And today it's going to be a special day for me and you because we'll be discussing about the usage of emergency contraceptives. In the studio I have Dr. Ampurire Nyakubaho. He's a Muchiga and he will be explaining to us more of how we should use these emergency contraceptives, the dangers, and how best we can utilize these pills or these methods that are available to us. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you could introduce yourself again and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Ampurire Nyakubaho. I am a medical doctor and a telephysiotherapist.
Okay.
Yes.
From Mulago, right?
Yes.
I thought from Bethany.
No.
Okay, you're welcome. So today we'll be talking about how to use or the usage of emergency contraceptives. But someone again, we have always talked about this, but again, it's always good to remind people what is emergency contraceptive.
Okay, so basically emergency contraception, these are medications that are used to decrease the risk of pregnancy. And here we're not talking about stop because there's normally a misconception that when I take emergency contraceptions, I will not get pregnant.
Okay.
Or when I take emergency contraception, I'm really safe. There will be no incident, so I'll get pregnant. However, in this case, we are looking at emergency contraception being these are drugs that reduce the risk of pregnancy after having unprotected intercourse and before establishment of pregnancy.
Oh.
And by before establishment of pregnancy, we basically mean that the sperm and the egg have not yet fused to form an embryo.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, so there is a period that it takes.
Yes, there is a time period.
That's why when you're buying these methods, they tell you 72 hours, 24
yes.
hours.
They will ask you how long has it been since you had intercourse, how long has it been since maybe when you since you slept with a man or since the incident happened, because we normally believe that research has shown that these methods are effective before establishment of pregnancy. So if someone has gone for emergency contraception after fertilization of the embryo, which is normally about 7 days, then we say that the emergency contraception will not work for you in this case, and that will be another thing now in totality. Okay,
now speaking about that, that's where we are heading, explaining more in depth, how do they work?
Okay, so according to research has shown that these emergency contraceptives work in different ways.
Okay.
And like we said, they are used to prevent pregnancy, but before fertilization. So during fertilization, we have the female egg that we call the ovum.
Okay.
It moves from the ovary, travels through the fallopian tube, where it may be fertilized there or in the uterus. So that is the part of the female. And then we also have the part of the male where the sperms in the vagina swim through the uterine cavity to meet the egg and there causing fertilization. So these emergency contraceptives will basically work, one, by delaying maturation of the egg from the ovary. Oh. So when the egg is not mature enough, it will not be released from the ovary through the fallopian tube to cause fertilization. That is at the level of the female, that is one.
Okay.
The number two, if let's say perhaps the egg is already there and it is mature, one of the other ways the emergency contraception work is by preventing its swift movement to meet with the with a sperm to cause fertilization. Oh. That is two. And the number three, we also have certain forms of contraception that have chemicals that will alter the biochemistry or the structure of the sperm, thereby making it incapable of fertilizing the egg to prevent fertilization. Oh. Yes. However, it is also important to note that this is how they work, but they don't induce abortions. So someone we have seen instances where clients come and they are like, okay, I took emergency contraception and I thought that it was going to help me abort this, and it did not happen. So we normally also want to say that when you're taking emergency contraception, you're decreasing the risk of pregnancy. However, it will not cause an abortion. And it can also it also does not affect it also does not affect the embryo after it has been fertilized. So if you find that maybe you had conceived and then there are people who don't know that they have already conceived.
Very true.
And maybe they wanted to have a baby. However, after like a month or two, they have unprotected sex, and there is a mishap in the sexual intercourse, and then they opt for emergency pills. But after opting for the emergency pill, they find out that they are pregnant.
Yes. And
now they come worried that, oh my God, isn't it going to affect my baby? Yes, it actually won't, because the emergency pill doesn't work by altering the physiology of the embryo. Like we said, it is from intercourse to before fertilization. Wow. Yes.
He has explained it all. Now, speaking about that people would be worried that if I swallowed this pill or this, whatever I'm using would affect the embryo, that's when we come in with the misconceptions, myths that people have against or towards emergency contraceptives.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. There are actually very many myths and misconceptions surrounding this whole thing of emergency contraception.
Yes.
And one of them include, whenever you talk about emergency contraception, most adolescent women and young girls, most Ugandans will think that the morning after pill is the only form of emergency contraception.
Which is true, yes.
Yes. So there are actually various forms of emergency contraception, and these forms of emergency contraception are determined by the different components that are in these drugs. So we have different forms of emergency contraceptives.
Okay.
So someone can be like, no, I've come for morning after pill, but they think it's only that form of contraception. And sometimes the hospitals or the clinics or the health centers will tell you, no, we don't have the morning after pill, but we have the copper IUD because it is also another form of contraception. And someone will be like, no, I don't want that because me, I only know that it is the what? It is the morning after pill.
The morning after pill, yes.
Then, but which is not true. So one of the misconceptions is that, and we have, actually there are 4 forms of emergency contraception.
Okay.
Yes. Moving on, there is also another misconception that you have to take the emergency. You have to take the emergency contraception 24 hours. Not later than 24 hours after the incident has happened.
Yes.
Yes. So now this is also not true, because emergency contraception, there are certain forms that take between 3 to 5 days.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So 3 to 5 days. Now, someone will have unprotected sex, or there is an incident that will happen, and then it's past 72 hours, and then it's past 24 hours, and they will be like, oh my God, now
I'm pregnant.
I'm already pregnant. There is no more hope for me. I'll just have to first wait for it to grow, and then maybe probably induce an abortion or something like that, which won't be the case, because we are saying that the emergency contraception works 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
Yes. So it can be effective between as later as 3 days to 5 days, especially for the pills, 3 days, and then we are looking at the IUDs to even 5 days after the incident has happened. Yes. Then, like I've told you, there's another misconception where clients think emergency contraception can induce abortion, or it's a form of abortion, and we have already demystified that by saying it has no effect on the embryo. And it is basically used before fertilization. Yes. And also, this one is not like a myth or a misconception. It is probably like a stereotype where clients feel embarrassed to get emergency contraception.
Very true.
By saying, how will they look at me? What if I go, I'm going and then maybe I go into a health facility and I'm looking at someone who is almost like the age of my mom, and I'm asking them for emergency contraception. However, that stereotype should also be broken down. We should always, we have started awareness campaigns. I am a sexual and health reproductive rights enthusiast. We start campaigns where we tell people that these health workers are actually ready to serve you, and they're always ready to listen. We don't judge, and when you're with us, it is a safe space.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's still Bethany TV. Dorothy is my name, and I'm with Dr. Nyakubaho.
Nyakubaho.
Sorry. And, he's here to tell us more of the usage of, emergency contraceptives. I have one myth that I've had before. I don't know. I know people will think I've used them before. Yeah, maybe. But the people who say that when they swallow these emergency contraceptives, they even start feeling that as though they are pregnant. What happens to the body when you swallow them?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, and like we shall look at them in detail in the following questions. These emergency contraceptives contain hormones. Okay. Some of them contain hormones, others contain metal elements. Oh. But these hormones are also in the body. Now, when you take in these hormones, and normally these hormones are in a higher quantity. Okay. They're in a higher quantity compared to those that are in our bodies. Okay. So when you take them in, they alter the hormone levels in the what? In the body. So when they alter the hormone levels in the body, then your body has to physiologically adapt. It is like taking tea. Your body is cold, then you take in something hot. Now it is adding on what is already in the body. So the body changes, you begin sweating. It's the same thing. When you take these hormonal contraceptives, they are going to alter the body's hormone physiology, or the physiological status of the body with the hormones at that time. And you find some ladies missing their periods, others having them at a later time, others having heavy menstrual periods, others having little or no, because there is the hormones the hormones in the pills have caused an imbalance in the body. Yes, so it's not about feeling pregnant; it is the body responding to the chemicals or to the hormones in the pills that will cause you to feel a certain way. And not everyone can feel the same way. Different people feel differently, and some others may not feel anything at all. And they will think, oh, maybe this has not worked, but it actually works. Yes.
Okay. Now, speaking about that, at what age do we consider using, these emergency contraceptives?
Okay. Now, at what age?
Or who do we consider?
Yes. Here we have, now this is going to be sort of a social dilemma, because we are looking at the African traditional society vis-a-vis the medical setting. Because in the African traditional society, we are supposed to abstain until marriage. True. Yes. So if you're asking in that perspective, then I would recommend abstain till marriage, and then when you're ready, have, and maybe when something happens, still when you're in marriage, then that is when we can give you. But according to the World Health Organization, guidelines have been put up across that recommend that adolescent young girls and women of reproductive age are the people that should be receiving emergency contraception. Okay. And we are going to look at the instances where they can receive them. Someone would ask, why are adolescent girls, a girl of 16, a girl of 17 going to receive emergency contraception? But it can happen in certain unfortunate instances. Yes. Okay.
Now, speaking of those instances is what we want to talk about. Okay. And because we have seen young girls, being challenged when they get into such, cases, and they have nowhere to run to. They don't know what to get. They even get scared to reach hospitals. They'll be like, maybe they will torment them. They'll ask them, how did you know these things? And maybe even they're a little more younger to, attain these contraceptives.
Okay. So emergency contraception should be given following sexual intercourse. That is it. So if there has not been any form of sexual intercourse, then there's no need for emergency pills. Okay. And here we are looking at sexual intercourse in situations, for example, when there has been no protection. When you've had sexual intercourse with no protection. That is one. Number two, we are looking at sexual intercourse where we are looking at sexual assault in this case. Okay. And in sexual assault where no form of sexual protection was available. Now someone will ask that, why am I adding where no form of sexual protection was available? Do you think every girl should be working with maybe, let's say, a condom, so that in case they are raped, say, no, rapists have this? No. We are looking at, actually, even married women can be raped by their husbands. Yes. We are looking at boyfriends raping their girlfriends. So as long as there is sexual assault and you had not planned for that pregnancy, then you can opt for emergency contraception. Then the third instance where we use emergency contraception is when you've been on family planning, or when you're in a form of family planning and it has failed. It has failed to work. Here we are looking at instances where condoms are breaking. We are looking at instances where a copper intrauterine device, I don't know if you've seen one of those devices.
I've heard about it.
Yes, these are devices that they put in the female reproductive organ. They put them in the female reproductive organ, placed in the uterus to prevent, it's a form of family planning to prevent fertilization and subsequently pregnancy.
Okay.
So there are certain instances where these copper devices can dislodge and then they come out.
Due to infection.
Due to infection, yes, due to infection, or sometimes when you tamper with it, we normally say don't tamper with it.
Very true.
So when you tamper with it and it is dislodged and it is out, that means that now that hormonal contraception has failed, and in case you've had unprotected sex in a particular number of days, then we say no, you need to go for emergency contraception if you really don't want the baby. Then you also have contraceptions like pills. We have what they call combined oral contraceptives. So these ladies are always on pills for a month.
Oh.
So, and at some point it is hard to keep up taking pills every time, yes. And depending on the depending on the nature of the combined oral contraceptive that you have been given, this one will be, I don't want to make it a little bit complicated for our viewers, but this one will depend on what is in the what is in the combined oral contraceptive and how many days you have missed.
Okay.
Because there are certain, if you have missed for 3 to 4 days, would give you a different form of emergency contraception compared to one who has missed for only 1 day, or compared to one who has missed for 6 to 7 days. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Amprire. We are still on Health and Wellness. If you know someone is missing this show, please tell them to tune in right about now, or they can go to YouTube channel, that is Bethany TV Live, and they'll be watching us live and clear. Those who can send messages, you can send them, and trust me, the doctor will be here to answer them right there and before. Now, speaking about now that we have outlined all these misconceptions, the age bracket, and people who really need to, have these emergency pills be taken in, someone would want to know what are those methods that, they use, or what are the types maybe? Okay,
there are generally four methods of emergency contraception.
Okay.
And like I said, these 4 methods depend on what constitutes the pill that you're taking. Okay, so we have 4 types. One is emergency contraception with UPA, that is ulipristal acetate. We have emergency contraception with LNG, that is levonorgestrel. We also have emergency contraception with combined oral contraceptives. Then we also have emergency contraception with a copper IUD.
Okay.
And I know viewers out there really know that the copper IUD is a form of family planning, but there are instances where it can be used as emergency contraception.
Oh.
Yes.
Now you've spoken like scientists in the first, I think the first 3 ones.
Yes. Yes.
So how do they work?
Oh, yes.
If you could break it a little bit.
Like we said, they all work in the same way, like we talked about earlier on, preventing maturation of the egg, movement of the egg to fertilize with the sperm, changing the biochemical structure of the sperm. However, like I said, they are just different in the market.
Oh.
Yes, yes. So you will find that I'll buy an emergency pill that has that has levonorgestrel, that is LNG.
Okay.
And then another person will buy and it has UPA, which I said is ulipristal acetate, and they'll be like, no. Me, I've been using this one, it has been working. Let us use it. No.
Yes.
Or someone will be like, okay, I want an emergency contraception, and when they give them the UPA, because they're used to LNG, they'll be like, no, this is not the one I want. Yet ideally all of them do the same thing. So in case you find that there is no LNG, you can use UPA, you can use combined oral contraceptives, or you can even use the copper IUD.
But also people who go to buy those, that medication, and they see every word there, that is key.
Yes.
I've never thought about it.
It is actually always important to check. You read, there are normally leaflets inside there.
We never read them.
Yes, it's always important.
And this we are all culprits in this.
Yes.
I've bought, syrups, I've bought medication, and if I've bought something, the first thing I'll read is indicators,
Yes.
symptoms, and I'm done, and I throw away.
No, it's actually always important to even check the expiry date because you will find that you will take yes, you will have an incident. You'll have an incident and you've followed all the guidelines. Okay, 3 to 5 days. Okay, now I've just had it tonight. I'll get it tomorrow morning, and then I will take it. But then it will not work for you. Why? Because it is expired. Or you're taking it and it is not probably FDA approved or approved by our NDA, and it will cause adverse side effects, including death.
Oh.
Yes, you've heard of emergency contraception that has been causing pulmonary embolisms, blood clots in the lungs, where a woman was walking and climbed stairs, you just collapse. So yes, part of it comes to reading through. Is it FDA approved? Yes. Is it expired? No.
Okay.
What are the side effects I'm going to have? Am I going to get any allergies? There are some, they say maybe if you're lactose intolerant, there are some, I'm not saying they cause lactose, but there could be something on
those leaflets that you could read and
they will tell you that
understand.
maybe it has also been found that people who are intolerant to such and such may also have this side effect. So you need to be prepared. And if you see that it does not work for you, then you go back and you're like, okay, now this one doesn't work for me, the LNG, let me get UPA, let me get the copper IUD. Yeah.
Anyway, as we shall always say, abstain from sex until marriage. I'm still Dorothy, your host, and this is Health and Wellness. We are going in for a short commercial break. We'll be back.
Bethany TV for health. Are you ready for this good news? You can now watch Bethany TV on Yo TV, AfroMobile, and Airtel TV apps. Yes! Catch the finest programming prescription for everybody, wherever you are, whenever you are. Bethany TV for health. Road traffic crashes is one of the leading causes of death among young people aged 5 and 29 years. In 2022, Uganda registered 21,473 crashes, out of which 4,534 people died and 15,227 seriously injured. And on average, we lose 12 people daily. Legacy Road Safety Initiative, in partnership with KCCA, Ministry of Works and Transport, Ministry of Health, and Bethany TV, have organized the second Road Safety Marathon for the crash victims to help create awareness. The marathon will take place on the 23rd of July 2023, starting at 7 a.m. from Nakasero Primary School grounds. Book your kits at 25,000 from Legacy Road Safety Initiative offices, or visit www.lrs-initiative.org to register. Call 0752 605 479. Your perfect ignition for the day's inspiration prescription is on the Healthy Morning. Start your day informed about top stories, health, tech, and travel news as we give you the day's weather and traffic, business analysis, and sports updates. Healthy Morning, every weekday at 6:30 a.m. on Bethany TV. Bethany TV for health. Chicago Med Season 2. The emotional thrill ride through the day-to-day chaos of the city's most explosive hospital continues. Going face-to-face with unique new cases inspired by topical events. Chicago Med Season 2, showing Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Repeats Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. here on Bethany TV for health. Get ready to celebrate all things manly. The Cord. The ultimate destination for men to explore, discover, and conquer. interests, passions, and pursuits. Ready to level up your game? It's time to drop the stereotypes and demystify what it truly means to be a man. Excitement, inspiration, and brotherhood we share. Take charge, live life to the fullest, and become the man you've always wanted to be. The Chord, where men thrive. Every Monday, 8 p.m, live at Bethany TV with your hosts, Keith, Patrick, and Livingstone. Bethany TV, for health.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Dorothy, Health and Wellness, every Saturday from 8 to 9 p.m. I do have Dr. Ampride in the studio, and if you've seen our advert that has been running on TV, on your screen, is that we do have a road safety run that is happening on the 23rd of July, next Sunday at Nakasero Primary School. Come and, we reduce these accidents that have been happening. The latest one we had was for Link Bus. Another one, we lost a businessman. So let's reduce the road crashes as we, started this campaign together with Bethany TV and the Ministry of Health and other partners. And still in the studio, we're still talking about the usage of emergency contraceptives. Before we went for a break, we're talking about the methods. And we're encouraging people to always read those leaflets that are put in those boxes, that are put in those packets, so that you understand if there could be some changes in your body, so that you're not shocked or you're not, caught unaware of these. Now, speaking about that, I'm taking UPA, LUP, and LNG. Okay, what are those emergency risks that come along when when one takes these emergency contraceptives? Okay,
from practice, because there are certain things that can be written on the leaflets and you never see them.
Never.
And if I mentioned them, then it'd be like, how comes I never experienced these ones?
Yes.
So some of the common side effects, we have nausea, vomiting, someone can have hot flashes, and maybe these hot flashes can be due to the hormonal imbalances. And other side effects, they will tell you that you are going to have, you may or may not have inconsistencies with your menses. That certain people will have little or no menses, others will have heavy periods, heavy and painful, so it will depend. And then those are just the side effects.
Okay.
But then we also have adverse effects. Now they are different. The side effects are as a result of you taking the medication there and then. But then we have, in this case, we have adverse effects where there is a persistent use of emergency contraception.
Yes.
Personally, from practice, I always tell my clients, and I have to say it right now here on TV, that when you find yourself using emergency contraception for more than 4 times in a year, that is basically an indication that you have to start family planning.
Not a month even. A month is even alarming.
I'm saying 4 times a year. Yes, not a month. Okay. Because I've seen certain clients that take emergency contraception like Panadol. The doctor, I would like you to help me with emergency contraception. I would like you to help me and you're looking at someone who is taking emergency contraception and they're taking like 6 tablets in. They are telling that they've taken about 6 tablets in 2 months and they have come. They don't have their menses right. If you find yourself taking emergency contraception more than 4 times, or needing emergency contraception more than 4 times in a year, then there it is an indication that you should at least go now on family planning, because it's no longer an emergency. An emergency is a one-off. When you save money for an emergency, you don't have to keep on withdrawing it every time. It is for a particular emergency.
Very true.
Now, one of the reasons why we recommend that is we said that these emergency contraceptions have a high concentration of the hormones that are in the body. So when remember we said how they work. One, they prevent maturation of the egg. They decrease motility of the egg through the fallopian tube to the uterus. Okay. Then they can also alter the structure, the biochemical structure of the sperm. So what happens when you take them continuously? what happens is now the body might get used. It gets accustomed to these hormones.
Okay.
And so if the movement, the we call them cilia, the hairs in the fallopian tube that promote movement of the egg are continuously stopped. Because remember we said it stops the movement of the egg in certain cases. So if this movement is stopped, what happens is that these hairs we call cilia, we call it atrophying. Okay. They will stop functioning and they decrease in size. Now a point will come in life when you've stopped them, you've stopped the emergency contraception, but you want to have a pregnancy, you want to conceive. And when your egg is moving through the fallopian tube, the hairs are not strong enough to contain it and push it to the uterus for fertilization, and that is why you find the sperm coming to fertilize it in the fallopian tube. And fertilized in the fallopian tube, and still that fertilized embryo is not being propelled into the uterus, you find instances of ectopic pregnancies. I think you've heard of that, where there is fertilization and development of the embryo in the fallopian tube. And now when there is, and remember the fallopian tube is small, it cannot accommodate a baby. So you start feeling pain, it can rupture, and it can even cause death. You see? So that could be one of them, that consistent and persistent use of emergency contraception or improper use of the emergency contraception. And by improper use we mean you taking emergency contraception more than 4 times in a year, it can increase your risk of ectopic pregnancies. Yes.
Wow.
Then we have also seen instances where these emergency contraception, consistent and persistent use, can also cause what we call pulmonary embolism.
Okay.
That is a blood clot. A blood clot moving into your lungs, obstructing airflow, causing death. Yes.
Okay.
So those are the 2 common adverse effects that are actually serious and people should take seriously. And once again, I repeat, when you use emergency contraception more than 4 times a year, or when you see yourself going to use emergency contraception more than 4 times a year, please visit a health facility, contact me, go to the government hospital, and they will give you family planning. Yes.
And here at Bethany Hospital Luzira, we do offer family planning. So you could come and visit us, and trust me, the solution will be given to you. I'm wondering, why are we suffering as women? Why don't we have contraceptives for men? Are they there? Are they in pipeline? Or it's us to suffer?
It's actually not about suffering.
Okay.
Emergency contraception is not a punishment.
It is a punishment.
It's not suffering, and I actually believe that both men and women, or both partners, should actively be involved in decisions pertaining emergency contraception and family planning. Okay. It's not supposed to be one-sided. Yes. We have seen instances where the lady will say, maybe since you're the man, go and get the emergency contraception. Or the man will say, since you're the lady it's your body, go and get emergency contraception. But I believe you're supposed to work as a team. When the incident happens, you say, okay, it was an accident, are we going to get emergency contraception? Yes. And also emergency contraception doesn't just stop at giving the medication. No. It also involves support and emotional care, because like you've heard, we are going to have nausea and vomiting, hot flashes, general body weakness, dizziness, and you would not want your partner to go through that alone. So there is also some care that is involved. That means both parties are supposed to be involved. So it's not a punishment for females or for males only. No, it's supposed to be a collaborative effort.
Okay.
Yes.
That is a nice one. I didn't know that men should take part, but yeah, that is a take home. So what are those recommendations for provisions of emergency contraceptives? Okay,
so still World Health Organization has issued guidelines that we normally follow. It has issued a guideline that says women that are at risk of unintended pregnancy. So if there is a woman that is on a risk of unintended pregnancy, or an adolescent young girl that is at risk of unintended pregnancy, is supposed to use emergency contraception. Unintended pregnancy means, yes, he used the protection, which was condoms, and the condom got torn. And also we are looking at emergency contraception being incorporated into health services. being incorporated into health services. I think one of the previously, the World Health Organization had incorporated routine HIV testing and what? Counseling. That every client that comes to the hospital must undergo routine HIV and counseling as per the guidelines. So I also believe that it is good and it is true that World Health Organization has recommended that this emergency contraception be part of routine health services, because it would be absurd to go into a health facility and they cannot give emergency contraception, or it is not there in place for any eventuality. And then we also recommend, and yes, we recommend that this emergency contraception be there in cases of, in refugee camps mostly, in cases of humanitarian activities where females, adolescent young girls and women are going to volunteer in humanitarian work, in refugee areas, in hunger-stricken areas, because they can experience unexpected eventualities, including rape. And normally some of the medications they go with are maybe malaria, they're going with water, they're going with food for emergency. So we also recommend that in those instances, emergency contraception is also what? Taken. Not because it is going to happen, but like we said, emergency. Yes.
Okay. Now that, we're talking about these emergency contraceptives, I get shocked when you find some adolescents or some parents don't know where to get these services, and it shocks me. I'm like, you have phones, you have Google, you have WhatsApp doctors, you have Twitter doctors, we have Bethany TV, we have, everywhere. But again, as a doctor, you could give us more other places that people could go and acquire these emergency contraceptives.
Okay. Yes, so emergency contraception is actually readily available. Most importantly, it is available in government hospitals. And in government hospitals, it is supposed to be free of charge. Yes, so I've worked in Kawempe. It is available in Mulago. It is also available in all government hospitals, including Health Center 4s. You will find emergency contraception. Then, and this one is free of charge. Then you can also find it subsidized in NGOs like Mild May. You can also find it in Maristops. There are private facilities that offer emergency contraception. Actually, almost all private facilities, provided they have an obstetrics and gynecology department, they offer them. Clinics, licensed clinics. I would also say that emergency contraception is readily available in licensed pharmacies. However, I would recommend that before you go to a pharmacy, get a prescription from a doctor. Because because when you go to the pharmacy, the pharmacists are supposed to dispense the drugs. So it would be advisable you get a prescription from the doctor. Yes, and after you've gotten it, tell the doctor so that they know in case of any adverse effects, they know what to do for you and how to help you. Yes.
Okay, now because speaking about prescribing medication, last week we were talking about self-medication.
Yes.
And I think thanks to Google, when something happens, you run to Google, I can, text my doctor and I'm like, I just had this, what can I take? And I think it's advisable to always, have a doctor look at you, check on you and understand what exactly you need to acquire as a patient. Yes,
true. And there is also a project that we're working on, I think in 2020, 2021. It was called the Contraceptive Google Map.
Okay.
So for people, for adolescent young girls and women, and also the gentlemen, the boys and the males, we worked on something that was called the Contraceptive Google Map, and it works basically like an app. When you open it, it will show you in your division, like where you can readily access these services. And this one was aimed at demystifying or breaking that stigma that I feel embarrassed to get a contraception, I feel embarrassed to go and ask for emergency contraception. So this contraceptive Google Map works in a way that you open it. When you open the app, it's not yet an app. We use it as an HTTP, like a link, but we're in plans of making it to become an app. So what happens is, after you've opened this website, we had done a pilot study in the Kawempe division. So when you open it, you would see Kawempe National Referral Hospital.
Yes.
You see Mary Stopes Clinic. And when you click there, there is a number. A number where you can easily access the service. You're like, okay, this has happened, I need help. You see, it's better to talk than to see someone face to face. This and this has happened, this and this has happened. Can I get this service? Can I get this? When can I come in? And when we were testing it, when people would come in, you receive your things privately, you're worked on in a private space, and people are actually going for it. And I hope we shall develop it better, and it will be in the pipeline soon.
Thanks to lockdown.
Yes,
As you know, due to COVID, and I was seeing people getting medication, through such activities. But again, as we have been talking about emergency contraceptives, we have talked about the side effects, the risks that come along.
Yes.
And you've mentioned something that really has caught my attention, that over usage of these contraceptive methods or pills could cause death, could cause a lot of things. But one of the things that you forgot, or maybe we would discuss now, is fertility. Do people who take such pills, do they think about where will I give birth, or doesn't have any connection with fertility as well? Okay,
so now proper use of emergency contraception has no effect on fertility. Like we said, you can use it as a one-off. You're using it once or twice in a year. That means that you're using it as an emergency, but after a time your body is going to do what? To normalize. Stabilize. But like we said, persistent use will cause certain permanent changes in the body. Someone using over 10 emergency pills in a year, you're prone to, like we said, ectopic pregnancy. And when you're prone to ectopic pregnancy, once you have an ectopic pregnancy, it is another risk factor for future ectopic pregnancies. That once you have one, there's a chance that you'll get another in the future. Okay. You see? Or the emergency contraception, we said it can also prevent maturation of the egg from the ovary. So persistent use can cause atrophy of the ovaries, and then you're seeing that your ovaries are failing to produce the egg, and might lead to what? Infertility. Yes. So here we're looking at the correct use is okay, but inconsistent or continuous use as not directed by your doctor can cause infertility. Yes. But so when you use it as a one-off, no.
So we can bear kids even after using these contraceptives.
Okay.
Well, you're still watching Health and Wellness. Dorothy is my name. Dr. Ampride is here as well, and we're talking about usage of emergency contraceptives. Now, one of the things we have talked about is having enough, or knowing how to use these contraceptives one at a time. He says if you take 4 times in a year, it could be a danger to your body and to your health. And so one of the things that I wanted us to tackle is about the menstrual cycle. When we take these pills, there's a way our cycles change as women. I don't know how could someone there be particular of, after I've taken pills, how do I expect my next menstrual cycle? Or if it has taken long, what should I do to ensure that they come at the right time?
Okay. So like I said, emergency contraception, there are different hormones involved in different pills. And once you take the emergency contraception, you may experience a change in your menstrual cycle.
Okay.
You may have heavy bleeding, you may have little or no bleeding, you may remain with your normal cycle. Yes. So one of the things that, and there are instances where people use emergency contraception, but their mode of family planning is maybe the moon beads, where you're looking at using safe days as a form of family planning.
Yes, yes.
So you have to first, after you've taken the emergency contraception, you have to first wait until your menses normalize again, because in most cases, the women and the adolescent young girls have good track of how their menses go.
Some
of them. They will tell you that, okay, maybe in about 2 days I'm expecting my menses, and they also have apps that track them.
Yes.
So after you've taken the emergency contraception, there is a chance that your menstrual cycle might change or it might remain normal. However, you have to give it time, and then it will normalize. And then when it normalizes, then you can use now your form of contraception, which is a safe days now.
Okay.
Yes. And if it doesn't normalize, and we have also seen instances where naturally ladies have, they don't have regular menses. Their menses are up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yes.
So even those ones, once you see that your menses are becoming irregular, you can also come in. It might be because of something else. And then we find out, and if it is not, then you're given counseling and you're told how to move on with the irregular menses. Yes.
Okay. Are there any medical conditions that would interact with my, if I took my my contraceptive, my emergency contraceptive? Any health conditions that could interfere?
Not quite. Not quite. Emergency contraception, no. No.
No sukari amira.
No sukari amira. No pressure amira. It has minimal interactions with other drugs.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe I have very many people in Chisenyi, Kawempe, Namungona, where I come from. They would want to understand what we have been talking about. Briefly, could explain to them in Luganda, briefly about what we have been talking about. How do they call emergency contraceptives in Luganda?
In Luganda, how would I call emergency contraception in Luganda? Emergency contraception, twandigambye nti eri eddagala eriziyiza oba erikendeeza okufuna olubuto ng'omaze okwegatta naye nga omwana tanaba atandika kukola ki okukula mu lubuto. Ate nga tugamba nti buno obuweke bw'olina okumira oba lino eddagala ly'olina okukozesa okwetangira okufuna olubuto tolina ddikozesa buli kaseera. Olina oddikozesa afazaali emirundi 4 omwaka, era wesanga nga emirundi 4 mu mwaka wosukka emirundi 4 osukka emirundi 4 awo tuba tukugamba nti ogenda okole ki bakuwe family planning. Yes, I think that is it.
Ate waliwo ababumira ne bafuna olubuto babeera kuki
kati wesanga nga omize emergency pill oba buno obweko obuziyiza okuzaala n'ofuna olubuto kiba kitegeeza tewabumira bulungi. Yes, kiba kitegeeza tewabumira bulungi oba wakerewa okubumira
oba bwali expired.
Kuba tugambye nti buno obuweke olina okubumira nga olina okumira nga wakamala okwegatta naye nga tonaba kukola ki olubuto tonaba kutandika kukula. Kati olubuto nga lukuze ate notandika okumira emergency kakiba kitegeeza nti gwe oyagala kugyamu olubuto ate nga buno obuweke tebukola kugyamu ki lubuto.
Ate waliwo kata abalina ZIUD nabo ne bafuna olubuto ki ekiba kibaddewo?
Okubeera ne IUD n'ofuna olubuto kiba kitegeeza nti oba oluusi IUD yamala neva we yali mu lubuto. Kuba oluusi tubagamba nti oba kuteekamu ka IUD tukazanyisa oba obeere nga weerongosa bulungi. Kati oba teweerongoseza bulungi infection ziyinza okukakyusa, infection ziyinza okukyusa ebibeera mu ako ka IUD ne katakola kye kalina okukola ne weesanga ng'okoze eki ng'ofunye olubuto.
Hey, you have good Luganda. Bachiga should be proud. Before we sign out, but we talked about this one, as we were discussing before the show. Whose role is it to play so that, people get to understand this message, people get to understand emergency contraceptives as not a curse, as me as already complaining, a burden, as something that should be, taught, something that everyone should just be knowledgeable about it. Yes. Whose role are we playing? Or whose role should be played?
Yes, the Englishman once said it takes a village to raise a child. Yes. And so it should be for the form of emergency contraceptives. That it is a holistic approach. It's not a one-sided thing. I'm saying for the couple or for the two partners that have been involved in the act of sexual intercourse, you should provide supportive. You should be supportive to each other. The lady may not have the money to buy, but she's courageous to go and buy. but then also it's the lady going to take the medication that has a few side effects. So it's that also the man is supposed to be what? Supporting.
Yes.
Then also in the terms of the health workers, we should also be approachable.
Okay.
We should be receptive to everyone. We should provide adequate information. Someone will come and tell you they want a morning after pill, and you will just give them one. You should supposed to educate them how it works.
Yes.
Like we said, sometimes some people may not know or may not read the leaflets. So supposed to tell them, okay, you're going to take this, but it might have this and this side effect.
Okay.
Would you want this one? And also, even the pharmacist, sometimes it also depends on the prices. They will tell you this one or this one, the England one, the what, the UK one. So it is a holistic approach. Okay. Everyone has a role to play.
Okay.
Starting from the hospitals to the partners, everyone has a role to play.
Not forgetting the schools. And of course, as media, we are already doing our job by bringing such people, practitioners, to come and teach you, and so that everyone can understand what we're talking about. Well, today we've been discussing about usage of contraceptives. But before we sign out, do remember on the 23rd of July, Bethany TV, together with other partners, including Ministry of Health, will be having road safety run that will be happening at Nakasero Primary Grounds. The run will start at 7 a.m. So come next Sunday, trust me, I'll be there myself, so that we reduce the road crashes that have been happening on our Ugandan roads. I would like to sign out, but do remember, tomorrow is Sunday, go to church. It's still a new month. Good night.